All right.
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying.
All right. What we got here?
In the pistol smoke, fool. I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Situation they got me facing. I can't live a normal life. I was raised by the state, so I gotta be down with the hood team. Too much television watching got me chasing dreams. I'm an educated fool with money on my mind. Got my tin in my hand and a gleam in my eye. I'm a loped out gangster, set tripping banker, and my homies is down, so don't arouse my anger. Fool, death ain't nothing but a heartbeat away.
Hey, J-Rock, what's up, buddy?
What can I say? I'm 23 now, but will I live?
I'm just nerding out a little bit. Still working on that video. Gonna put me on blast. I don't believe you. I don't have a lot of time on this. Oh, you did you? I'll go check it out after this game. We'll go check it out. Oh, no, that's not a good fork. I thought it was a good fork.
Power and the money, money and the power. Minute after minute, hour after hour. Everybody's running, but half of them ain't looking what's going on in the kitchen.
I should have taken.
They say I got to learn, but nobody's here to teach me.
I'll take it next if he lets me. He's not gonna let me. I'll just take. I'm looking good, but I'm very low time. Oh no, he's just gonna take. Maybe. Yeah. That's what he should have done. Oh no! I'm very low on time. I gotta go rapid fire here. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Let me pull that up. There we go. Get the correct scene on. I have way too many scenes. Way too many scenes. Hey, what did I do with my scene? It's just a intro. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. Let me turn my music off here. That would probably make sense, right? All right. All right, we'll watch it. Oh, that's a long video. Oh, you have 2 videos on it? Oh, you have 2 scenes. I got you.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Moving forward, gonna be doing a little bit of a response video to the homie Reeves video. He had some very good points. Mine are slightly different, and with nearly 20 years worth of tanking, I figure I just kind of, go over some of his points with my own opinion. He was gracious enough to say that it was cool. So let's get started.
Yeah, I'm pretty chill, man. I don't.
The tank class has been confirmed to be
You
the
don't have
topic
to ask
of the
for
upcoming
permission.
Ashes of Creation January live stream. To me, of any class in an MMO, the tank class is the most important one to get right. The good thing for Intrepid, the Holy Trinity is a tried and true feature of most MMOs, and there are countless good tank examples from previous MMOs that they can borrow from, especially for PvE tanking. Intrepid.
Just real quick, what he said is for the most part true, because tanks set tempo and tone. It doesn't really matter how flashy the other classes look if the tank is limited, like can only grab 3 mobs, well then the combat will be somewhat slow. How powerful the tank is gives you a good idea of how difficult and powerful content is. And considering that Ashes only has 1 true tank with several variations, it's real important that they get it right and that they get the flow of combat right. And a lot of that begins with the tanks.
Intrepid does not have to reinvent the wheel here, in my opinion, but some small tweaks or innovations would
with
be
only
nice
having
to
one
make the
tank
tank class
as
feel unique
primary,
in
that's-
Ashes of Creation. What we have seen of the
It's a lot of
tank in
pressure to
Ashes
get it
of
right.
Creation Alpha 1 was a pretty standard tanking toolkit. The only real interesting thing we saw was a ranged taunt, which is something I think is nice to see and could be very useful in PvP. I would also like to see a little better presentation of the class compared to the Cleric and Ranger showcases last year. While I did like both of these showcases, I would like to see a few more skills to get a better feel for the class, and better explanations of the skills before showing them. Maybe show the tooltip and then a quick explanation of how it works. With that out of the way, let's talk about a few specific things I would
absolutely.
like to see regarding PvE tanking in Ashes of Creation. I would love to see some details about the threat system. We know Ashes is using a fairly standard threat system, but what I would love to know is how easy or hard it will be for a tank to maintain aggro. In most modern MMOs, it has become extremely easy for a tank to hold threat. In my opinion, it is too easy. Now, I don't want it to be incredibly hard for the tank to hold threat either, but having to at least pay attention to threat to some extent does add a natural dynamic to increase the challenge in PvE. I would also like to see some different ways for a tank to maintain threat other than just hitting taunt skills on cooldown or maximizing their DPS rotation. Maybe there could be windows where a boss is weak to a certain damage type, say bleeding, and the tank can
It's
apply
so weird
bleed
listening to
those
myself.
windows and get a lot of threat built up that way. Or
What he's talking about is like a Sunder from like WoW, and bleeds is just another real type of damage. And because all tank damages has extra threat, dots and bleeds are just continuous kind of damage and it ramps up. So that's in a lot of modern MMOs right now. Although I do agree with them, I'm not sure exactly what he meant there, because unless he just kind of wants dots to kind of do their own thing and kind of give more specialized threat generation. As far as how easy it is nowadays, I can agree with like one caveat. A lot of it is your gearing, because if you're not geared, people will just rip stuff off of you. But yeah, a properly geared tank, for the most part, doesn't have any issues with threat.
Yeah.
I also would like to see a little bit more threat management. You know, make sure you're hitting these mobs and telling people kind of like old school WoW, where you used to have to kind of mark your targets. Hey, make sure y'all are hitting this one. You know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We really won't know until going forward. Hopefully they show us a little something about that here on Friday during the reveal.
Or maybe there are some phases where taunt skills do not work at all and players really have to watch their threat. Or maybe DPS players have cooldowns that can drop their threat and or give their threat to the tank instead. And probably in some rare cases, maybe some threat table resets, or maybe a few encounters where a DPS has to maintain the highest threat in order for a boss to attack the tank. Just some things to occasionally change up the threat system so there is some variety. And to continue with that, I'm curious if Intrepid will give some in-game tells if someone is beginning to pull too much threat. There is not add-on support in Ashes, so having a threat add-on that clearly shows where you stand in terms of threat is not an option. But having maybe some visual or audio clues might be an interesting alternative to that. Somewhat related to this, I would love to see a return to CCing actually mattering in PvE. Make the encounters challenging enough that proper CCing is needed to complete the content, at least until players achieve a high enough gear score to that level of the content. To add to that, I certainly don't want to see groups running into a dungeon, mass pulling, and AoEing everything down. To me, that is not compelling gameplay. I would also like to see multiple weapon builds be viable for tanking. We know that sword and shield will certainly be viable, but it would be nice to see other weapon sets that can adequately tank. They have stated that to be the case in the past, but that is an older quote at this point. It would be nice to see it in game. And it would be nice to see more about the active blocking. It would be nice to see Intrepid commit to whether or not stamina drain will be a part of active blocking or not. I tend to think it should, but hopefully we find out Intrepid's stance this month.
Oh yeah,
In a lot of MMO, that's where I am.
Yeah, I agree with him. I like two-handed tanking. I like the ability to change gear based on how I want my tank to perform, including weapons. A lot of the games that I've played in the past, like ESO, Final Fantasy, they've had two-handed tanking in them. As long as you can hold and maintain the threat, it should be fine. They've said in the past that they were going to try and allow a lot of differences in weapons and across all classes. So this should be something that we can expect, but again, we won't really know until Friday. Actually, I'll have to do some research. I feel like they mentioned something about it in the Cleric showcase, because the fighter was technically off tanking with the two-hander. Or they might have just said that. But yeah, I for the most part, I agree with him here. Just give more versatility to the tank, since there's only one true tank and a bunch of off tanks and a bunch of variations of the one real tank.
I haven't
staff tank.
I have not played tank in Final Fantasy.
I think that'll just kind of spice it up and keep it more interesting for the people that play that class.
There's a shortage of tanks. I would love to see some of what Intrepid has in mind to address this shortage. We do know that the group size in Ashes of Creation is 8 players, so if encounters are designed for 8-man groups, that will absolutely help with the tank shortage, as the DPS to tank ratio is higher than most MMOs. I would also like to see, even in raids, for only one tank to be required, with maybe some encounters needing off tanks. This again helps with the tank shortage. We know that the tank primary are...
And this is probably where a lot of my narration is going to come. You have to understand why there's a tank shortage to address the issue. Making it easier to have less tanks be required to do content doesn't help the shortage. In theory, it does, but if tanking just feels bad, which is usually the case, a lot of times tanks are just severely limited in one way or another.
No, I agree.
Like trash at PvP, and then PvP is a pretty decent part of the game, or they're not fun. It's hard to clear with them because they don't do enough damage, but they don't die. It's a hard balance to kind of get. But if the tank is fun and the tank is powerful, you won't have a shortage of tanks. You'll have a shortage of good tanks because there will be people that play it. Off tank is where they can address a lot of the sub-level tanking shortage issues, but I believe it should be differently. I believe raids should take a lot of tanks and off tanks. You need to have tanks needed in more places, and you need the tank to be strong and powerful so people want to play it. Off tanks should be able to do easy open world content. You want to go grind mobs, you should be all right with an off tank or two. You shouldn't have to have an actual tank.
Definitely.
I'll probably speak about it later on in the video about what I think the differences between off tank and tank should be. But essentially one should be turbo boosted up as far as abilities and support systems around tanking, whereas one should just be able to grab hold mobs.
Archetype is the only class that can be the main tank in groups. I would like to see those primary archetypes that choose tank as their secondary be able to fill that off tank role as well. I hope that is the case, and I also hope that they don't have that many encounters that require off tanks. Another issue with tanks in MMOs is leveling. Tanks typically have very low damage, so leveling solo is very difficult. In some MMOs, tanks can farm dungeons to level, but we don't know how viable that will be in Ashes. And quickly changing specs is not an option for tanks in Ashes. The only way to change specs is at a village stage node or higher. So in theory, a tank could switch between DPS and tank specs as needed, but with the size of the world, that might not always be viable. So one solution I thought of is a buff that increases the damage of a tank spec when they're solo PvEing. Not in PvP or when the tank is in a group, and to get around groups trying to remove the tank from the party to boost his damage.
This is how you normally balance this. Is you put the tank's damage just under a certain point. I can't give you something exactly, but their durability is crazy. So how you do it is the tank can grab 3 things and then burn them down at the pace roughly that a damaged player can kill 3 things one at a time.
Oh,
and that's where you find the balance. WoW's done a really good job of this.
No, that's a really good idea. I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. You just
can grab
AOE
a bunch
kings
of stuff
out there,
and I can attack it, and then there's a group,
and that can
there's a group
account
tag
for the
and everybody
difference.
tags it.
No, that's a very good point. I really agree with
XP,
that.
And then we
for
just kinda
sure.
move on. It's not a matter of boosting their damage and stuff like that. It's not that I think it's a bad idea. I just don't necessarily think that it's needed. I'd rather it just be balanced properly, but that's a whole different kind of story, possibly different video going down the road with how Intrepid and the Ashes of Creation crew intend on balancing their game.
Make it so the tank can hold aggro from the other players very well without being in their party, or make it so the tank can't receive heals when they have the damage buff active for being solo. This would alleviate one of the potential.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. I don't think that should be a thing. I think everybody tagging everything within a certain amount of damage should get credit. It kind of limits player interaction and group play more than it would help.
Pain points for tanks and hopefully increase the tank population. So those are all my thoughts on ways to make PvE tanks more interesting while still fitting in a standard tanking model we have seen work in MMOs time and time again. But what about PvP? Well, the consensus of the MMO community seems to be that tanks are often bad or useless in PvP. To that I say that might be the case in a lot of MMOs, certainly the most popular ones like WoW, but there have been a few MMOs that bucked that trend in a very big way that Ashes can borrow from. To me, the MMO that did PvP tanking the best, without question, was Warhammer Online. In Warhammer Online, there were several skills that made tanks function extremely well in PvP. The first skill that all tanks had was called Guard. A tank can place this on an ally, and the damage that the ally takes is split with the tank as long as the tank remains within 30 feet of this ally. This was a great support skill and could allow a melee DPS to engage in a fight when otherwise it would not be possible. The next key ability that all tanks possessed was called Hold the Line. This skill would increase the tank's dodge chance by 45%. More importantly, it also provides a 15% chance to dodge for allies behind the tank and within 50 feet.
Early part
This
of an MMO is
15% could
chaos.
stack 3 times as long
Trying
as
to
the
find
ally
mobs to
remained
kill.
positioned in range of the tank and the tank kept channeling the ability. This is a great positional way that a tank can provide protection for their team. And interestingly, it seems somewhat similar to what Steven hinted at in the October livestream for a new tank skill that they are working on. I imagine this skill could potentially be a modernized version of Hold the Line from Warhammer Online. Or it could be similar to
Phones
the Guild
keeps
Wars 2
blowing up.
Guardian skill Wall of Reflection, which was simply a wall that the player could cast and all projectiles that hit the wall get reflected back to the caster. So the first thing I think a tank needs in PvP is to be someone that can provide dynamic group-wide shielding, whether through the dodge stat like in Warhammer Online or through an active wall that is positioned to reflect.
I never played Warhammer, so I can't really comment on any of his opinions or coverage of Warhammer. But I did play a lot of Guild Wars 2 and
I played
thousands of hours of ESO. ESO kind of booked the Trinity a little bit, but they did PvP tank probably better than even what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
And guard is a skill that's in countless games. It's a good skill. Hold the Line in one variation or another has been in a lot of other games, usually like a PvE spell, but could definitely be put into the PvP side. I agree there needs to be a lot of mitigation of damage and damage soak opportunities for tanks, but not so much so that it can be gamey or that it can be used to kind of cheese things.
Yeah. You can make them way too overpowered.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
For sure, and then it's just
tanks in general should kind of be buff and mitigation in PvP, and they should have enough damage to where you have to respect them. Not enough damage to where they're just gonna like burst people down, but you need to have enough damage that you get caught lacking and you're out there, or you're taunting, or you're being silly, and he hooks you and he bangs on you. They should be able to blow you up.
Yep.
Like they should be able to like get you if you are disrespectful, you know. But they don't need enough to where they can just dive into groups and like survive and do all of that. It's probably a pretty difficult situation.
Sometimes
to balance
these games, because the tanks usually suck,
pretty much
they
tank with your abilities.
overcompensate
They
by
have
making them
the Dragon Knight,
unkillable.
and they got what you call flappy wings. I forget what the
too much
actual ability
damage.
is. This is a quick video, no fancy editing or anything. But essentially, whenever you hit that button, you get a shield and you flap your wings, and then anything that hits you reflects back. So kind of like a wall of reflection. Then there's different kind of buffs, bombs, AoEs, roots, and stuns. The roots and stuns are really, really important in ESO.
Yes, New World
So
tanks.
how
yeah.
I would build
I remember
the
some
tank,
of that.
which I think he's going to get on later, that based on what other classes that the tank takes, you just get different variations of your stuns and your immobiles, and you buff people, you mitigate damage. You essentially kind of more so than a tank, you kind of evolve into a tank / support character when you're kind of supporting in PvP. And if you're providing X amount of support and doing X amount of things, you will get attacked more, which then benefits your party.
Projectiles like in Guild Wars 2. After that, tanks should be disruptors. They should have access to a lot of CC. They should have the ability to apply annoying debuffs like a healing reduction. They should be able to remove buffs from enemies.
Yeah,
and again, Warhammer Online
Mortal
had
Strike
this in spades. If you
from,
look at the Return of
wow,
Reckoning career builder
kind of
page and
ability.
start scrolling through the skills, you see a ton of CCs and interrupts for the tanks. You also see a skill that essentially kicks enemies away. This kick could send someone a long ways away and put that player into the heart of your team, so they would very likely die. However, a tank would have to get within melee range of enemies and get in the correct directional position to pull this off. This allows for counterplay by the opponent. A lot of MMOs use a pull type of ability to pull enemies closer to you. This is something we saw in the Alpha 1 tank with the Javelin skill. I would like to see a combination of the two for the tank.
Steven got
the
pulled
Javelin
off his
pull would have a shorter range than the kick. Then the kick skill potentially has a huge range if the tank has enough mana or energy, but the trade-off is the tank has to be in the thick of things to get within melee range and be positioned correctly. Further expanding upon the role of tanks in PvP is the idea of taunts. Again, Warhammer Online did this well. There are two main taunts that tanks have. The first one was simply called Taunt and would increase the damage that target took from the tank by 30% for 15 seconds or until the target attacked the tank 3 times.
This is a way of doing
this
taunts,
allowed for smart counterplay and gave the taunt a viable use in PvP. The next taunt was called Challenge. This was an AoE taunt that would cause opponents to do 70% of their normal damage to everyone except the tank, and again, it lasted for 15 seconds.
I think I would say it'd be nice, like
hit you
these old school games,
this
like WoW
again forces the enemy to attack the tank or deal reduced damage for a significant amount of time.
These sort of things.
I've also seen other games use a taunt as a simple CC.
Be nice, like like in here where you taunt when you see the taunt there.
This might
you see the icon over the
end. I have also seen other
stuff like that. I want to see a lot of stuff like that, so you know, like fairly clearly, like these little icons. You know you're taunted. You know, especially on the bigger skills. I just want to see
attacks
instead of having to stare at the debuff bar.
This might also be a third,
or having to put an add-on
on. Also,
to see that, of course, you're not going to have add-ons in Ashes.
Player collision was a thing.
And
WoW, you
got to put
something
add-ons
that
on.
Creation is planning to have. And while I think player collision can cause problems in nodes and should be turned off there, in PvP it opens up a lot.
It needs a lot of like visual and maybe even audio,
blocking
like
choke
tells,
points or surrounding and singling out an enemy target.
What's happening to you?
On top of body blocking,
Guild Wars 2 did that
also
to some extent,
collision,
which I've always liked.
This means tanks have a role in the fight as the front.
Yeah. The projectiles and the body blocking is a big deal.
So those are
Warhammer had that, the body blocking. A lot of games have had the body blocking.
Taking. What are some other ideas?
Yeah, this game is a game probably nobody's heard of, but I played it a lot.
Allies.
It's
perhaps the
been
best
shut down for like 12 years.
Is from a game that no longer exists called Forge. In that game, the tank class had an ability called Vengeance that would give vengeance stacks based on the amount of enemies that are within
other games have had
so the
this
more
kind of
enemies
too.
around you,
this isn't the only one. I've seen a few MMOs
so this encouraged the tank to be
that
in
had
the
this
fight
kind
to
of
get
a
these
thing.
stacks. With these vengeance stacks, the tank could activate one of 2 auras. Only one could be active at a time. One aura would increase allied movement speed and damage. The other
I used to play
tank.
It was called Warden and Forge. I used to play Warden all the time. It was the funnest PvP tanking I've ever
require
done.
Upkeep as they would drain energy.
You could
over
stack
time,
your
so the
vengeance
tank would have to
stacks and then
actively use boulder
go
skills to maintain enough
raise
energy
morale,
to
and then
keep
all of a
the
sudden
aura
your whole
active.
team would just be
And of course,
wrecking
allies would
people
have to be in range of the
because the
aura to get
the
benefit of
damage
it.
buff was
This
so
is similar
high.
to the
It was
type
kind of
aura
overpowered,
system
actually.
I think would be great for Ashes of Creation. One change I would make,
And then
is
you'd be
limiting how many
basically
vengeance stacks
unkillable
the
when you
tank could
put
get.
the
In
protect
Forge, it was
allies
very
on.
high and could make the tank
With a
and
bunch of
allies
vengeance stacks, you
unkillable
put
if they
that
got
on,
enough
and like
stacks.
you couldn't be
It
killed.
would also allow some counterplay
it was too
by the
strong.
enemy team.
It was way
the
too
goal
strong.
of a PvP tank is to be the target, but they are also very hard to kill. So what I would do is reduce vengeance stacks if the tank was taken below a health threshold.
It's
So
just
you could
something
remove half
that
the stacks below
makes the
50%
enemy
and
team need to
75%
think
of
about the
stacks
tank and
below
not just ignore
25%
them. That's what
health.
happens
This
in
would allow some
PvP a
counterplay
lot,
by the
is you
enemy
ignore
team
the
that does
tank.
not require the tank to be
But if the
completely
tank
killed.
is able
Further
to just
ideas
stack
I
a
have for
buff
the PvP tank in Ashes of Creation
and-
is perhaps a damage buff that slowly builds
and make his
the
team
longer the
basically
tank is engaged in
unkillable,
PvP
or
combat and
drastically
remains above a
increase
health
their
threshold.
damage or
He
their
would stack to
defenses.
5 stacks, but reset
And all
to
you got to
0
do is
stacks
drop
if the
him,
tank
you
is
know,
taken
under
below
75% health to kind of reset
This
it,
could
or
be
under
a further
50%
reason
health.
for the enemy team to want to attack the tank.
That would
in
be
PvP.
a reason to actually
Finally,
have
for
to
the
attack
tank,
the
it would be
tank.
nice to
Which
see
basically
the
what I said in the
PvE
video.
and
but-
PvP builds work together. So if a tank has built specifically for PvE encounters, that build is also at least somewhat viable in PvP. With not being able to quickly change specs on the fly, I think having builds that work in a PVX manner is important. And for further ideas, Intrepid could look at mobile.
Yeah, the ideas he had for the taunt, I like them. That's just pretty easy. I like them. I also like the auras. I'm not sure how I would do them. His ideas sound pretty reasonable and pretty solid. That should be something they have to build into. That shouldn't. A lot of the things that he's talking about in this video and that I've talked about in this video, I would like for tanks to specifically have to kind of like build into. I don't know if I want a lot of these things in their base kit, because then they sound kind of broken.
Yeah, I agree.
I want you to have to be able to build one way or another.
Build into.
As far as the gear goes, I feel like that's kind of a given. The game is PVX leaning PvP. I feel like all gear is going to be relevant in PvP. I don't know if there'll be like specific PvP stats or this, that, and the other. I guess what he's trying to say is stat weights. Maybe you need a certain kind of stat to have a certain ability that's really good in PvP, do really, really well, but you would never use it in PvE. So if you've built yourself that way, it wouldn't be viable. I don't know if that'll be a thing. How it seems to me that Intrepid is building their game is that it's a PvP game with PvE mixed into it. And so it just seems like all the gear should be pretty relevant as far as combat and stuff goes.
Yeah.
There's just a little bit left. I'm going to go ahead and let it finish.
And games like Overwatch. Yes, they are in different genres, but they both were able to make PvP tanking work and could provide further ideas to expand upon. And that concludes my thoughts on what I would like to see for the tank in Ashes of Creation. We will get some idea of what the tank is this month, and I will do a breakdown of it just as I did for the Melee Showcase and the Ranger and Cleric Showcase. Thanks for watching, consider subscribing if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video.
Subscribe and hit the like button and all of that. I appreciate everybody took the time to listen to this. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah, I added you to my list of CC thing in my Nightbot just a bit ago too. I forgot to put you in there. Got you in there. No, it was a good video. I agree with you on a lot of it for sure. I'm excited. I hope they do a little better with this stream than they did on the Cleric for sure. I think that's what a lot of people have been saying, and I agree. It needs to be a little better than what it was. See, this tournament's yeah, no, I appreciate you. Yeah. No, man, I don't mind at all. No, I think it was a good video. I think you did a good job, and it's such a slow time for Ashes right now. I'm really hoping there's something that'll pick up the hype a little bit for Ashes, because it's just so slow. My videos, I've had some major struggles getting views on a lot of my Ashes videos. Here we're going to do we'll do this one. Yeah, I think TL is going to give a boost because of the similarities that exist between the two games. And I think a lot of Ashes fans have some interest in TL because of how similar the game is. Bit behind on time. Haven't done a lot of bullet. It's been a while since I've done bullet. It's so fast paced. Back. Just need to go fast now. I'm up on material. Oh, I lost piece. Don't know. Yeah, for sure. People are going to be playing. I need to push this pawn. Oh, that's a... Oh, that's time. Yeah, I mean, I started playing during COVID, and there was no MMOs really appealing to me at the time, and kind of really just stuck with it. But I am not fast enough to play 1+0 bullet. I could do 1+1 bullet. That's what I was doing earlier, but the 1+1 doesn't start till 7:30 my time. So we'll do... I'm over 1300, so I can't do that one. We could do Super Blitz. Could do Super Blitz probably. Yeah. It's just a little more entertaining, I think, for like streaming to play the really fast games than watching somebody play chess at a slow speed. Put my chat a little smaller there. There, it's a little better maybe. Still kind of hard to read, but... If you ever want to play, I'm on LICHESS. My profile name is Bigger, B-I-G-U-R-B. Yeah, I think I'll push there, I guess. I don't know. Did I just lose my queen? No, I didn't. I have one square. Oh, man. Uh-oh. Oh! That's a problem. I guess I have to go back. I don't know.
Silence, who are we mistaken? But you see, it's not me, it's not my fault.
Oh, I have no time, do I?
In your head, they are fighting with their tanks.
Should have taken.
And their bombs,
Oops.
and their drones. In your head, in your head.
That's over. Yeah, that's it. That was rough. Of course, he's 1800 and I'm 1320, so that's kind of what's going to happen. Oh, I forgot to put... No, it's good. Another 1800. Oh, yeah. No, I like it. I don't usually like remakes, but sometimes they're good. This is an example of a good one, I would say. Zombie. Don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that could be a way. Guilds could work together to some extent. Yeah, that's one thing I've always wondered is for the smaller guilds, you know, what's going to happen there. Or the big guild. I did a video on that as well. I've done a video seemingly on everything. It's at this point. But I do wonder if the small guilds are going to have a very hard time, you know, in this game. Oh, that's checkmate. Yep. He's 1800. Yeah, you know, my theory on processing being the place to make money, I think is, you know, that's based purely on, the idea of Steven mentioning in the live stream last year that, what was that? Yeah, he said that that's the bottleneck for the artisan system is processing. So, and then also when they gave the list of professions, I noticed in the processing tree there's some finished goods in there. So I think that's a way. I think they're trying to really make it to where there's enough processors in the game. They're really trying to incentivize it, is what I think. So, like alchemy, I think alchemy was like a processing thing, or whatever they call alchemy in Ashes. And that's it's definitely something that is a finished good and is a desirable thing for in-game. So, I think they're trying to push. Because when I am sitting around and thinking about what I want to be, I think I either want to be a gatherer or a crafter, like first take, you know. But then the more I have theory crafted about this game, which obviously I've kind of gone nuts with some of my theory crafting. The more I've done that, the more I think that maybe processing is the way to go for money. And of course, in this game, I think having a lot of gold is going to be a big deal. Well, I'm waiting for this next arena to start up. I'm going to withdraw just in case I'm not here. I'm going to go take a quick break. Let's hear about those taxes. Yeah. Yep, and the snowballing effect of the castle, and it supposedly gets stronger and stronger the longer you hold it. I think there's going to be a lot of snowballing mechanics in the game to where some people could get way, way ahead of others. Which is good for those players, but for the casuals, I think that, you know, that could be tough, and it could, you never know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll see. I'm going to take a quick break. I think I'm going to do one more little tournament with some lower rated players here in about 5 minutes.
I've got sunshine on a cloudy day, and it's cold outside. I've got the month of May. Oh, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? It's my girl talking about my girl. I've got so much loving, oh, the bees into me. I've got a sweeter song that I can sing, the new birds in the trees. Oh, I guess you will say, ooh, what can make me feel this way? It's my girl talking about my girl.
Ten, 9, 8,
Okay.
7, 6,
Just in time
5, 4, 3,
for this
2,
tournament
1,
start here.
0.
I don't know my overlays, so I have way too many overlays. Alright. Should be the overlay. You know why everything's gray. Now you're here, now you're away. Listerine. Where everyone stills like strawberry fields. Way up on time, so that's a good thing.
Attack here, attack here. Listerine. Right, take that. Listerine. Let's take that. He could do this. He could do that. That's a good move. Listerine! Oh! Good thing is I'm way up on time. Listerine. Just right. That's kind of a pointless move, but that's just fine. That's just one of my names. There we go. Just went on time. Blundered my queen and went on time. Hey, I'm 4th place out of 26. That won't last. That won't last. I got a little lucky in that one. A little bit of a lot of lucky on that one. Listerine. Writing on the wall. Oops. Take that. Should not have gone there probably, but do. Uh-oh. Superstition. Right there. Yeah. Trap you. Just trap you, buddy. Oh, ew, I almost had it. He's still kind of there. He's got the double attack. He can just take. Could have just taken. That's alright. Now I can just take here. He has to go over and then I go up and win. Yep. Hey, number 2. Number 2. As I cough myself to death. Bup. writing on the wall. Writing on the wall. Here. Oh! Ouch! I can feel the pain. Uh-oh, that's checkmate. That's checkmate. Does he see it? He didn't see it. I'm still probably losing there. I have to trade. I have to trade. Unfortunately. Not a situation where you want to be trading, but it is what it is. Win a pawn, I guess. There's no way I'm getting there. There's no way I'm getting there. Yeah, I mean, it's over, isn't it? Gotta give myself a way out. Can't really win on time either, can I? Oh boy, yeah, that's checkmate. Okay, well, down to 6. The guy that just beat me. I assume that's that guy. It's number 1. Oops. Pawns are all messed up now. Try that. Oh, fork. It didn't even try to do that, but that's what happened. Nice little fork. Take it. Nerd! Nerds! What's up, man? Oh yeah, it's pretty nerdy. If I was really nerdy, I'd actually win at this stuff, you know? I'm definitely not nerdy enough to win at a consistent rate. I got corn playing, so that limits my nerdiness a little bit too.
I used to play it on Twitch as well. I mean, it just mutes the VOD is all, which I don't worry too much about. A lot of people freak out about it. I don't care if you mute the VOD. It's like, it's not, it doesn't, you don't get a strike. You just get a muted VOD is all. But I have my OBS, I have voice meter set up, and I have it set up to where I record it. I record the track separately, and then I can upload the VOD later if I want, without the music, and then I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose here. Yeah. So I don't get a strike or anything. It's not a warning, not a strike, not anything. It's just, it just mutes the VOD, and actually, well, it unlists them on YouTube. It unlists it, and the same on Twitch. When I used to stream on Twitch, it just unlists it, which not necessarily ideal either, but here, I'll add you as mod. There you go. I just pretty much I'll give J-Rock mod too. Just make everybody mod. There we go. I have a lot of moderators already. Well, so much for being number 2 or whatever I was at one point, number 4. I told you it wouldn't last. I keep forgetting I'm playing Bullet and I gotta move really fast. And I just hung that too. You didn't see it. No, that's a hung queen. That's a hung queen. That's not good. I got a pawn. At least got a pawn.
And that's why they call me bad company.
That's checkmate. Right there. That's checkmate. He could just it's not good. It's checkmate if he wants it. He doesn't want to checkmate me. Yeah, okay. You must have listened to me. Oh, losing streaks. One more game, and I'm probably going to call it a night. I wasn't really planning the stream, I just kind of turned it on. So, just turned it on. Might get a free W on this if this guy didn't move. He's not gonna move.
She says there's the one I love the most. But life's not far behind. She never lets me in, only tells me where she's been when she's had too much to drink. I say that I don't care, I just run my hands through her dark hair, then I pray to God you gotta help me fly away and just let her cry. If the tears fall down like rain, let her sing. If it eases all her pain, let her go. Let her walk right out on me. And if the sun comes up
Oops.
tomorrow, let her be.
I'm not playing good at all. Not at all.
This morning I woke up alone, found a note standing by the phone, saying, maybe I'll be back someday.
Oh, there's a queen. Yeah, I've lost. Alright. Does Teal have an NDA on their beta? It's, the way I understood it, that sure seemed like it's an NDA to me, because it's you know, it's on a premise in South Korea, so the physical location. So I'd assume it's NDA. Yeah, we're just gonna walk into that thing and not know anything of what's going on. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. I was hoping to get some kind of beta or something, you know, something I could cover on the channel and get some views, you know. I mean, the TL video I did today actually got views compared to, you know, stuff I've been trying to do for Ashes. Doesn't get any views. Like Ashes is just dead right now. I got 495 views. It's my second best video in the out of my last 10. 13 hours I got 495 views, and for me right now that's pretty good. And it was just a video where a 3-minute video, very low effort, where I talked about the news, and I was like the 4th or 5th guy to put the video up for it. So it's just, I mean, a lot of this stuff with these games, these new MMOs, with content creation, a lot of it isn't like you have to do like an amazing, highly edited, perfect video. A lot of it is timing. You got to get stuff out before people, and that's hard to do, but luckily it came out in the middle of the night. I woke up, I happened to just see it on Twitter, and I was like, oh shit, I'm putting the video up. And so, but that, you know, you know, in like 3 or 4 days it won't get any views. So I don't know, man. A lot of this stuff is just so weird to me, how the algo works and stuff, but who knows. Anyways, it was a kind of impromptu stream. J-Rock and Torsten, Crayola Commando, goes by Torsten in our guild. Nice to see you guys, and a couple other people stopped in. I'm going to try to stream the Ashes live stream tomorrow, and I'm trying to stream on my normal Saturday scheduled stream as well. So, see you guys potentially on those days. Later, guys.